Shop on eBay this holiday season to get more for your dough on stand mixers, or get more for your buck on this season's hottest tech and gaming gear. And on eBay, you can even get more bling for less cha-ching on jewelry. You can get more because you save more on premium brands with eBay's exclusive deals. Get more when you get it on eBay.
Some coffee's fast, but not fresh. Some coffee's fresh, but only after a long wait. Speedway Coffee is made fresh at the push of a button, hot or iced, so you can have fresh coffee your way, right away. Get 2 times the points when you buy any size hot or iced coffee drink with Speedy Rewards.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is John Silver, lead recruiter of the Dark Order, and you are listening to All Things Elite.
Welcome to the 128th episode of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with the proclivity for positivity. Welcome to All Things Elite. My name is Austin Summers, and I am the host of this lovely show. Joining with me, as always, is my good buddy and friend, Floyd Johnson Jr. My man, how you doing?
I am doing well. It is a great week. Last week I went to my 20th AEW show, which was Dynamite, and we'll talk about that shortly. And this week I am going to my 21st and 22nd show, which will be Rampage and Full Gear, respectively. Full Gear, it's funny, because of course I missed that Double or Nothing. You know, I would have been to all 3 Full Gears. Like, it's so weird when I say, I always have to say, I've been to every pay-per-view except one. I know no one could go, but if you want to be factual in your statement, you have to say, I've been to every pay-per-view but one. It hurts. It hurts. Mm-hmm. It hurts that I have to say but one. Even though no one could go. You couldn't buy tickets. Dude, like literally, I called so many favors in to try to get one of those magical... Hey, they just let your friend fly in tickets. Yeah. I don't know anyone. Apparently, I don't know anyone. But it was a good time. It was
Yeah, well, at least you'll be able to be in there for Minnesota with AEW Full Gear, which we're going to get into everything with.
That was a cough. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're all good, man. But so we got a lot to talk about on this episode of All Things Elite. Of course, we are getting ever so close to AEW Full Gear. So we got to get into AEW Dynamite and Rampage for this week. Before we get into everything, though, we want to make sure you guys are downloading this fine show on Google or Apple Podcasts. If you listen to us on Spotify or any other podcasting platform, please give us a share with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you wish. Or you can leave a rating and a review. Let us know how we're doing. If you're so inclined, you can also leave a donation through our podcast provider, Red Circle. But the easiest way to support us is on social media. We are at AT Elite Pod, at Social Suplex, are the guys that make this thing possible. Check out all their other shows on their network. I am at Austin Sumowitz, SZUMOWICZ, and Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. And of course, the big news of the week is that right now it is Full Gear week. We are only a few days out from when Full Gear will take place on the 13th. We are just so so ever so close. Like, as we're recording this right now, it just turned over to the 10th because we're recording really late at night. So we are just 4 days out from AEW Full Gear, and I mean, I'm ecstatic for the show. AEW has been on fire with their pay-per-views that they've been producing, and this card, which we'll get into later, is looking very, very good.
AEW has taken over for TakeOver. God, I gotta get my corny stuff in. But I did want to do this because every week I forget. I want to shout this out, but I forget to, and we'll just go in right after I shout this out. On the Social Suplex, Sir Samuel or Sam B on Twitter has a new show, and it's going to be called the AEW Match Guide Podcast. The first episode is this Friday, and it is Cody versus Chris Jericho, where they're going to do a deep breakdown of that match, of the greatest matches in AEW history. In a few weeks, I am actually on an episode where they discuss FTR versus the Young Bucks, one of, if not my favorite matches in AEW history. And it's kind of cool because it did happen at Full Gear last year. The Cody versus Chris Jericho that he's covering this week actually happened at the first Full Gear. So it's kind of like a running theme. He's going to go through the matches that way. I'm hoping they'll be on for another match, but I was on for this match. Make sure you got your Social Suplex feeds to download all the shows, including One Nation Radio and One Nation Radio and the Ace of All podcast. Keeping It Strong style. Good Lord, I don't know why I froze on that one. But make sure you're downloading all the Social Suplex shows. But that one on Friday should be very fun. I look forward to listening to it. I will be in Indianapolis when it drops, so I will definitely listen to it in the morning.
All right. Well, now we'll get into the start of this review episode where we talk about AEW Dynamite, which took place at the Cable Dahmer Arena in Independence, Montana. The show kicked off with the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega facing off against Dark Order's number 5, Alan Angels. And this match was a solid enough match. Alan Angels got a lot more than what people were expecting, I think. Kenny Omega just proceeding to have a really good match and just trying to beat up on the Dark Order members to just try to get to Hangman Adam Page, which will be the match for the AEW World Championship at Full Gear. Omega was able to just completely nail Angels with 2 V-triggers and then proceed to hit the win after that. Afterwards, Nakazawa got Kenny Omega a chair. He was going to drop Alan Angels on the steel chair with the one-winged angel until Hangman Adam Page comes out and the crowd erupts. And then Omega trying to swat away Adam Page, but Alan Angels ends up taking away the chair and saving saving Hangman Adam Page. And then Page proceeds to go for the buckshot lariat before Omega ducks it and gets out of the ring. And Kenny is told by Hangman, "You've got 10 days," which was, as this came out, it was 10 days until November the 13th. So yeah, this was a great way to open up the show. It was a good match that started things off, but of course it builds up to the thing that I think a lot of people are looking forward to the most with Full Gear, which is Hangman Adam Page finally getting that championship away from Kenny Omega and really coming into his own in AEW.
Well, I will ask this, and I will break it down later, but what if he doesn't?
I think the crowd will be very upset, honestly, because I think considering how things had to be like paused on with Hangman taking a break away from AEW and being a family man, I think because we already had to wait the one time, I think a second time would be ridiculous. Because if you do it for a swerve, you're fucking with the fans because like you're just taking away something that would be a huge moment to begin with. So it's just they're not going to do it.
Well, of course they're not going to do it because they're unfortunately they're kind of a slave to that giving the fan service. That's been their brand. It's just honestly like. The way I see it, as in I broke this down in a thing to kind of test it, it was that if you're looking at Hangman, he is he is Omega's. Omega is his Okada, and you know how Omega just couldn't beat Okada for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had the big match. They built up the big match. It was the match that got me into New Japan. That build up to Kenny Omega versus Okada, and it was like, you know who should win this match, right? Everyone knows it should be Kenny Omega. That's why the fans are turning in. It's Kenny Omega. Then he lost, right? And then they built to that big match in June. And I remember because it was technically my birthday, June 10th. And my friend Ryan came over in the middle of June. We stayed up all night to watch it. Because we had been failed that previous time, it was like, you needed it. And it just felt like we would all like Hangman to win, right? I just don't think we're at that fever pitch where we need it yet. And I think, and I understand the brand with AEW, they're gonna give it to us probably. But man, if that match just went an hour and it was a draw, I'd be down. But
no, I feel like I would. I mean, like, again, like, I'm fine if these two continue to feud and stuff like that. But, like, I think more so just on the, like I said, of the lines of, like, because of how long this storyline has been running, not just with Kenny Omega, though, but more so just with the entire Elite. Like, this story has been, like, long run this entire time since since Hangman Adam Page lost his chance at the AEW World title back at All Out 2019. So because of that, I think Hangman has done enough losing in big matches where I think this is truly his one massive big match where he'll get a win finally. So, well, again, like, I think it's fair to say that, like, you want this to be your Omega Okada. I think it's just the difference is that hardcore wrestling fans that are, like, into Japanese wrestling, how do I say? I have probably a little bit more patience for something like that, but also too because it's a totally different situation because Okada wasn't a heel in that regard because Okada was still Okada, who's like one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Kenny Omega is playing a dastardly heel character, so because of that, it's a different situation. As like even though Kenny lost and probably should have won back then, fans were still okay with it because one, it was an insane match, and two, because Okada is Okada. There's a couple different variables, which kind of just would lead me to disagree of like where like I would prefer if they wouldn't keep this going longer, just because again the situation is all aligned to the point where like they'd be stupid if they wouldn't go with it. I feel like just because it's his pay-per-view, it's named after Hangman. We didn't get it at All Out because of the return, the debut of CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, and then he went away to be a family man, and then we finally get him to come back, and he wins the thing. I don't know. It just feels like
it's just I get
it, but I just think it's throwing a wrench in something. Like at the end of the day, it's probably just best to be simple with it.
I see a clear path with Kenny. I see a clear path for the title with Kenny Omega. I do not see a clear path with Hangman. I don't know what Hangman does, and I don't know what rivalry that Hangman enters that keeps him hot.
I would say Adam Cole.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but I'm just like, or you can keep Kenny Omega as the champion, and you can go Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson. You can go Adam Cole. Or you can go a lot of different ways with Kenny Omega. I see a much more rich path going with the title still being in Kenny Omega's hands versus Hangman's.
I mean, again, like
it's just more challengers that interest. It's more the sellout ability. Like there's still more heat left with this Kenny Omega title run. People don't hate Kenny Omega. It's not that everybody hates Kenny Omega. They just think Hangman deserves it. It's his time. And it's just like, there's this thing called long-term storytelling. And it's just, why can't it play out? But I understand how social the AEW fan base is. So yeah, you're kind of forced to do it. But I'm just saying, as far as logically and what makes sense as far as storytelling and probably selling tickets, if that's the thing people think about anymore, it's probably keeping Kenny Omega as the champion.
I mean, again, like I think it's arguable, but I think it's just, I don't know. I'll disagree on that regard.
Yeah. You gotta give the fans what they want. So I know it's coming. I'm gonna be there, and I'm very happy because I will literally have been there for every world title change in AEW history. But still, in my head, up until the week, I wasn't just trying to be a contrarian. I was just like looking at what was coming going forward, and I was like, I think it might be what makes sense to keep a Kenny Omega champion a few more months, especially with Bryan Danielson probably winning then. But we can discuss that later.
Exactly. So we'll move away from that, though. There was a small vignette with Malachi Black talking about how, despite him being banned from ringside for the Cody match against Andrade, that it would not have the desired effect that he was hoping for. Then we had CM Punk coming out, and he had a little bit of a beef to settle with Eddie Kingston after Eddie interrupted him on AEW Rampage the week prior. And CM Punk was getting chanted for, and he gets low and talks about like how there are two people that aren't here right now, and one has a legitimate reason for not being here, and it's the name I want to hear chanted, which is Jon Moxley, referring to John stepping away from AEW and going into rehab because of his alcohol issues that he's been going through recently. And he says, I don't want anyone to criticize Jon Moxley because I am goddamn proud of him. And if anybody at home or anybody here are in a place where they think they need help, get help, ask somebody, call somebody. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. It's nothing more courageous that you could do, and it's nothing as more vulnerable that you could do because of that. And he talked about how, like, multiple times where he should have asked for help, but he didn't because he felt like he needed to be a tough guy. And then he gets into Eddie Kingston, who is the second guy who wasn't there. And I can't ask you to your face, so I have to ask you to do this right now. You interrupted me last week, and I don't like being interrupted. And look, I'll fight him, but he's not here. Full Gear is an option, but St. Louis is up the road. And if you got the balls, Eddie, I'll be on Rampage to accept your apology for interrupting me. And Punk proceeds to leave. And this was setting up exactly what I wanted, because I said time and time again when it came to Eddie Kingston versus CM Punk, the way you sell that match is you give them like 10 minutes. Give them 10 minutes. Put a mic in each one of their hands and then just let them unload on each other. Just let them go. And we'll get into that promo when we cover Rampage. But, I mean, this is what I wanted them to go with because, I mean, that's how you sell this match. You don't do it with any other backstage segments or anything else like that. Like, you had the one interaction to tease it, but this is how you sell the match right here for Full Gear. You just put mics in their hands and let them go off.
Well, yeah, because they're pretty good at it. It was like I was doing, like, right now, based on what they're doing right now, what they're doing, like, in wrestling right now, like, who are the best promos in wrestling? And literally, I don't make it out of AEW. And that's not because of AEW love. It's just, like, I think if I'm doing a top 5, best in WWE's maybe Edge, and I put him at 6. You know, maybe Roman Reigns, but
Kevin Owens I would throw in there.
Roman Reigns' stories, Roman Reigns stuff is kind of similar every time, but Kevin Owens is really good. But when's the last time they just let Kevin Owens go?
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest thing. And also, I would say Paul Heyman would be cheating.
Yes, and Paul Heyman was, and at this point he has his shtick. You know what I mean? And it's just like you don't know what you're getting when Punk and Eddie Kingston get in there. You know what I mean?
It's the amazingness of like letting them just cut promos like naturally and not scripting them word for word.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd put Mox in there. I don't even have Cody in my top 5 right now because when's the last time Cody really let go? He had a really good promo a couple times, but he's has one good promo and like he's probably got one, maybe two good promos this year, just depending on where you fall on the the segregation one or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so I wouldn't even have Cody in my top 5. There's just so many people doing so much good in AEW right now that it's just their mic work is just amazing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll get into that, but now we get into a backstage segment with the Super Click with Adam Cole and the Bucks saying they're going to remind everyone how tough they are. Christian Cage then comes out, and Matt Jackson's like, listen, man, there's 3 of us and 1 of you. Luchasaurus then gets behind Matt, and he's like, listen, we don't want to fight right now. There's no issues right now. Then we need to fight. And eventually, they start fighting, and then Jungle Boy will then come down off of the stage, diving off onto the Super Click and crashing into them. And they just start brawling for a good, 4 minutes. And Matt Jackson looks to jump off the stage, but Christian Cage with the spear. He goes to hit the kill switch, but then Nick Jackson hit a super kick. Luchasaurus chokeslammed Nick Jackson onto Adam Cole. The snare trap was put on Adam Cole, continuing their feud. Cole faded, but then proceeded to get hit with a concerto from Christian Cage. And Christian Cage and Jurassic Express stand over top of the Super Click. And it was a pretty wild just brawl of just these 6 guys just going at each other.
Yeah, I like that they showed that faces can have the vicious side.
Yeah.
Because Christian clearly had them beat, and they could have walked off. But no, it wasn't enough. Christian had to show you why he's Christian. The concerto. And they called it concerto. They didn't come up with some weird-ass name because WWE don't name. They just called it concerto. One-man concerto. Boom. Concussion. I love it. Chairs. Oh, we can't do that on TV. It's too violent. It's wrestling. Wrestling's violent. God, I love this. Dude, you don't understand how happy I was to see a real concerto. Not one where they cut away and then the person sold it or anything like that. Like a real, this is a professional wrestler that knows how to do this. Let him do what he knows how to do. This was a violent masterpiece. I love the pre-match brawl. Because, I felt like this feud had some heat, but it was all, the Super Click winning every match, you know what I mean? In every type of thing, they came out ahead on Jurassic Express and Christian. To give the true rivalry heat and the 6-man heat, you needed Christian and Jurassic Express to come and get ahead once.
All right. And that was that, which was a great segment as it is.
All the stuff I talked about, the hardest thing to believe, Paul Rudd, a.k.a. Ant-Man, was just named People's Sexiest Man Alive.
I mean...
Oh, no.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone.
I'm just saying, you walking through the Mall of America and you see Paul Rudd, I think most people walk past because he was the most normal-looking human ever that happens to be famous.
He's a good dude.
No, he's a Chiefs fan, so you know I fucking love him.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you don't stop and be like, well, damn, Paul Rudd. You know what I mean? You just kind of keep walking because he looks like a regular fucking dude.
Yeah. Well, he can spot America's ass from a mile away, though.
Yes, but apparently he is America's ass now because he is the sexiest man alive. 2021.
Watch him be that'd be the first thing he tweets about it.
Yes, he's gonna have to because he is America's ass now. He has taken the role from Mr. Chris Evans.
All right. Well, we got to get to your boys though. FTR, as they held an open challenge. They held an open challenge for the AAA Tag Team Championships, and they faced off against Aerostar and Samurai del Sol, also known as freaking Kalisto. Kalisto has arrived in AEW as he teamed with Aerostar, and this was a match of, as Floyd will probably say, the best luchadors in the history of AAA. FTR facing off against Aerostar and Samurai del Sol, and it was a strong match. I think these guys Aerostar and Samurai, I think, did a pretty dang good job in this match. There was a lot of action, of course, with them working the Lucha Libre style in this. Eventually, though, FTR was still able to get the win as Cash was able to get a roll-up. Darby Allin, I know, was watching the match somewhere in the shadows that they cut to. But eventually, a roll-up by Cash on Aerostar would get the win for FTR. They are still your AAA Tag Team Champions, and they proceed to beat yet another Lucha Libre Tag Team and still stay on top of the AAA Tag Division.
Well, let me tell you, it's been a while since I've seen the greatest tag team of all time in person, actually wrestling in person. So the fact that I got them and Cody in one night was like amazing because so I'm watching them and they're best tag team ever. And Aerostar and Kalisto, that was Kalisto or whatever.
Samurai del Sol.
Yeah, there you go. That was his name before. Yeah, you could tell FTR had worked with Samurai del Sol before and hadn't worked with Aerostar before.
That is true, yeah.
It was very obvious in the match. It was a great match. FTR, technically proficient. But Aerostar set the tone off wrong. Everyone knows FTR's thing is no flips, just fists. What did he come out and do? First thing he did? He flipped around like 27 times. Of course, he got a middle finger for his trouble. But in this case, that was the beginning of the end. They weren't on the FTR level. They used a wrestling move to get the pin. Great roll up, technical wrestling. I know some people point out that his hand may have been on the ropes. He was just using that to keep himself steady. It wasn't to get any extra leverage. FTR, best tag team in the world. This was a great match. There you go.
Yeah. We then had a clip from last week where Tony Schiavone was backstage presenting Hikaru Shida with her 50-win plaque that she got until Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero start mocking Shida and saying, because Shida's going to have to face Nyla in the TBS tournament, and just said, easy out, easy win. So we had that little tease. But then we had a segment that I saw a couple people that were like disagreeing on and stuff like that. So we'll talk about it. The Inner Circle coming out to reveal the 5 members of Dan Lambert's American Top Team that they would be challenging for the 5-on-5 Minneapolis street fight match. And they come out, and Sammy Guevara is talked about how the TNT champion won against Ethan Page. So Inner Circle and Men of the Year get the 5-on-5 tag match. Dan Lambert, Men of the Year come out, and they start screaming. So I founded this team 25 years ago, and that makes me American Top Team member number 1. I have a collection of killers on an open contract, so let's get this over with. Pick your poison. Jake Hager chooses Junior Dos Santos. Santana picks Andrei Arlovsky. Paige Van Sant gets on the microphone and kind of sets herself up, saying that she wanted to take on all 5 members of the Inner Circle by herself. We'll let you fill in the blank on that regard. And that proceeds to, after Men of the Year are included with the 4 that left 1 member of American Top Team remaining. And it was chosen because he said he was American Top Team member number 1. Jericho chooses Dan Lambert. So, shockingly, we don't get Jorge Masvidal in the match. We get Dan Lambert in the match.
I mean, Masvidal has a fight soon.
Okay.
Masvidal, he's like one of my favorite fighters to watch. But I know he has a fight very, very soon, December 11th, against Leon Edwards.
All right.
So that's probably why they don't want him to get hurt.
Fair enough. So, but that is the overall thing. I know some people were a little bit upset about the comment made about Paige Van Sant and the joke made at her expense. But, I mean, this is Jericho. Like, is this at all out of character for Jericho? Like, considering the things that he has said about one Stephanie McMahon? So I don't see the massive issue with it. I thought it was a fair enough joke. And I mean, Paige Van Zandt is a killer. So, like, I mean, I believe that she could destroy every single one of them because she is a good fighter. But that is
she? Is she? She loses like all the time.
I mean, yeah, let's take a look at her record, actually.
And they brought her in for the bare knuckle fight, and guess what she does in her first fight? Loses. She loses a bit. She's actually my friend JR, who's on the show. He is our MMA expert. Yeah, he says she's just not really
Okay,
good.
she has 8 wins, 2 by knockout, 3 by submission, 3 by decision, 5 losses, 3 by decision, 3 by submission, 2 by decision.
Yeah, and then she's been in 2 bare knuckle fights and has lost both of them.
Okay, well, regardless.
Yeah, no, honestly, I would have not been able to tell you that if it wasn't for JR. JR watches like every fight. He's on like Bellator, bare knuckle. He watches all of it, and he's the one that told me she wasn't a very good fighter.
Okay,
I literally never seen her fight. I mean, been to her Instagram, definitely. That's a place. That's a place.
Regardless,
that's a place you might want to live for a little bit if you haven't. But yeah, no, I didn't know if she was a good fighter or not.
Yeah. Well, regardless, we'll move away from that, though. What I will actually mention, too, is that I don't know if you saw this recently, but after UFC 268, another member of American Top Team was actually in the news regarding AEW because he was asked in a presser after his loss on UFC 268. Colby Covington, member of American Top Team, was asked if he would join the members of American Top Team taking part in AEW. Said if he would join the members, and he proceeded to say, I don't pay attention to anything those losers do. So, I'm focused on putting on the best and biggest and best fights in the world. And he said, you might see me in WWE one day, but, I don't think you're going to see me in a second tier promotion. Mind you, this man wrestled and appeared on Impact back in 2017, so the idea of a second-tier promotion apparently is foreign to him, because if that's not a second-tier promotion, I don't know what is.
Yes, Colby Covington. After a loss to a guy that he pretty much guaranteed he was going to beat, I know that's the fight game, but another loss to Kamaru Usman, who he can't beat. He's like, I'm going to go to wrestling. And then wrestling, I'm going to wrestle. And it's like, it's cool that you want to wrestle. It's cool that you want to wrestle. But you got to come in with some respect. You know what I mean?
You expect that from a guy wearing a MAGA hat, though?
Again, I get it. It's like, hey, I am not going to ever be the best fighter because this guy named Kamaru Usman exists. I actually had to go with it because I was a Chael Sonnen fan in his rivalry against Anderson Silva. I had to realize on the third fight that it was just, this ain't happening. I wanted to happen like really, really bad. Chael almost had him a couple times and then he lost, and it's just like, this shit ain't happening. And so he might have came to the conclusion quicker than I did with Chael Sonnen. And it's like, okay, maybe I cut a wrestling promo. Maybe they bring you in. But you know what? I'm kind of against it. Like Jorge Masvidal is still the BMF. You know what I mean? Yeah, yes. I want to bring him in, And some people, when they're done fighting, cool. But bringing fighters in off of a loss, I just don't think
not really interesting.
Yeah, like Ronda. Love Ronda. And if they would have brought Ronda in at WrestleMania 31 when she was undefeated baddest woman on the planet and had that year run, it would have been huge. But they got washed up, beat down, broken Ronda. And shocker, she wasn't a draw. Shock and awe. that the person that people have seen just literally get embarrassed the last 2 times that she was on TV, like the shit beat out of her. I'm sorry, I don't want to see you wrestle, because this whole baddest woman on the planet thing is a myth because you got the shit beat out of you by Amanda Nunes, who I don't even think sweat before the end of that fight. And this is coming from someone, I am a big Ronda Rousey fan. But if you look at what it actually did for numbers, it didn't really do a lot. So I would say the same thing about Kobe Covington, who is not even anywhere near the star that Ronda Rousey was. Even after she lost, Ronda Rousey was still like on that level. She basically made women's MMA what it is today. You look at Kobe Covington, he's a red hat. Oh, if he wasn't wearing that red hat, if he hadn't said the stuff about Donald Trump, no one would give a fuck about who Kobe Covington was.
Exactly.
That's what he is. He's a gimmick. And
a bad one at that.
Yeah, in a world of gimmicks, we can literally... the guy from... I always forget his name, from American Top Team, can cut a better promo saying exactly what you did and be more entertaining. So no one needs Kobe Covington. I'm not going to say AEW doesn't need him. No one needs Kobe Covington.
Boom. So we'll move away from this, and we got Matt Sydal challenging Dante Martin and Lio Rush in a match with Sydal's brand new partner, Lee Moriarty. So that was a match that was announced. We then had another round one matchup in the TBS Championship Tournament. Dark Order's Anna Jay versus Jamie Hayter. And this, I will say, was a bit of a shock because Jamie Hayter ends up getting the win off of the short arm clothesline, pinning Anna Jay. And then, of course, Britt Baker and Hayter and Rebel start triple teaming on Anna Jay, beating her up. Tay Conti then comes out to sprint out and help. And eventually, Thunder Rosa had to come out for the third save as Tay started getting beat up a little bit because of the numbers game. And then they clear out the entire ring. The match itself was fine. I think it wasn't anything special. There were a couple spots where I thought like Jamie had a little bit of like she needed a little bit more time to get back into the groove of things. But I was more so just surprised that Anna didn't get the win because I figured that with how much they were enjoying the fact that Anna Jay was back in competition after her injury, that they'd kind of be like moving her up the ranks a little bit more. But she got eliminated in the first round by Jamie Hayter. So, I mean, I like Jamie. I think I think she can be pretty good. I'm just surprised they didn't go with Anna on this. I believe you might be muted.
I forgot who Jamie's matchup was. Like, who she's going to fight in the next round. Because I believe the way I did it, it made sense when you looked at who she was going to wrestle in the next round.
Was it maybe Jade?
Maybe. I'm trying to get to the bracket really quick, but it's not. Yeah. It's a little further back than I want to admit, but I believe it's like.
No, it's Thunder Rosa. So it literally is Thunder.
Yeah. So. That's what I'm like. It like Thunder has the beef with that
Britt Baker and all of them.
Yeah. So it literally just made sense that she won. Yeah. And Jamie Hayter needs some wins. I mean, if you're gonna be the goon for Britt Baker, who never loses, you can't lose.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Now it makes sense a little bit more just because of Thunder Rosa's history with those three. But that being said, it was surprising not seeing Anna come away with the win on that regard.
Yeah.
But moving quickly on, though, MJF on the mic, looking right at Darby Allin, who was up in the arena, just going after him. And MJF was like, look, out of all of the pillars, we're already pillars, and we have been for a while. So why is it that they boo me but cheer you? Like, I got mad, I lost sleep over it, but then you hit me. It hit me. Of course they like you. And of course they hate me because I'm a symbol of everything they'll never be, and you are just like them because you'll never fit in and you'll never win. And you always let your emotions get the better of you. You went from a proficient pro wrestler to a glorified stuntman. You will lose because you'll be too focused on battering me instead of beating me because I am better than you and you know it, better than you in the ring. I could beat you with a headlock takeover. He just goes on and on and on until Darby says, we will have a wrestling match at Full Gear, Max, because I will take all of my anger out on you just right now. MJF tries to retreat back up the ramp, try to get away, but Sting comes out to stop him. A small army of men that were just followed up by Sting. He had an army of his own comes to flood down the ring. The entire Pinnacle try to come out and stop the whole situation, except for FTR. What the hell? And then MJF turns around and gets right into Darby Allin, who they just start brawling in the fans. And Darby gets this head start as he just like backs up in between the fans, charges at MJF, nails him right over the barricade, which was a massive bump. And then MJF proceeds to run away yet again into the fans. And yeah, that worked really freaking well. I thought it was crazy just the amount of people that Sting had just this ridiculous army with him, which I thought was funny, which took care of Wardlow.
I think one was a child, right?
It looked like it. It looked like it was just -1 for some reason.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, that's crazy. I'm sitting in my chair, which is directly straight from we're straight to the back, so we're straight from the ramp. So MJF is talking, and he's kind of looking our way, and Tiffany taps me, and she's like, Darby's right there. And he's literally top corner of our section. And she's like, oh, Charlie's right in front of him, the guy that's on the vlog and everything. And I was like, oh. And then they started fighting, and they were pretty much fighting right in front of me. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's a pretty dang cool experience.
Yeah, because I bought further away seats because I needed to buy more seats. So I was like, we're not going to be in any of the action. Right in front of us, right in our section. AEW, man. I tell anyone, if you got a chance, and I know you might not listen to old Floyd here, but go to their shows live. It's just always such a amazing experience. The shows are great on TV. Don't get me wrong, but it's just a live in experience. You don't get commercials. You see the match in its entirety. I always tell people Kenny Omega versus Moxley for the title. I had a different experience than the people watching it at home because it was just one long continuous match. I didn't even know they went to commercial as opposed to so always go live if you can. But this was great. I think it gave a little more heat to the Darby MJF match. I would love for the winner of this match to get a title shot. I would love that too. I wish that was like a statement, like whoever wins this match gets a title shot at a later date. It's just they're the four pillars, right? You got Sammy, the TNT title's not being defended this year. You got Jungle Boys in the big time 6-man match, and like all the pillars are on the screen. So it's just like, dude, if you're like, oh, you might get Darby versus Sammy because Darby was a former TNT champion. You set that up right now, or you you might get MJF versus Sammy, which set up another big four pillars match if you want to do that. Both of those matches are main events on a Dynamite.
Yeah, honestly. And so I have a feeling whoever wins this match will get a good push, though. So I think we'll have to see what comes out of that. But I want to move into the next thing real quickly because it's Floyd's boy. It's Cody Rhodes. So the American Nightmare was one-on-one against Andrade El Idolo, as it seems as though this feud between Cody Rhodes and Malachi Black will continue despite what people have been saying and despite what Cody has said and despite what we were kind of expecting. So Cody was in the match with Andrade. This match was a very strong match because these guys just work really well together. Arn Anderson was doing great on the outside. Like FTR then tried to come out and try to screw out Cody because they were hiding underneath the ring despite the call for nobody to be at ringside. They were hiding under the ring with the AAA titles and then proceed to hit Cody in the head with them. Andrade then pulls Cody back into the ring and pins Cody, and that ended up being the win for that. And also, I will say shout out to Arn Anderson grabbing Jose, who's Andrade's assistant, and keeping him away from everything. But FTR and Andrade proceed to beat up Cody afterwards. Arn Anderson gets in the ring and shoves Tully Blanchard. The Lucha Bros then come out and clear house, getting FTR out of the ring. So Cody falls to Andrade because of the help of FTR once again, who have really done wonders for Andrade. Honestly, kind of great of how like MJF. I hope he's getting his money's worth because Andrade's using them a lot. But a very strong match, I felt like. Continuing though to have like an issue with seemingly like Malachi Black and.
Shop on eBay this holiday season to get more for your dough on stand mixers, or get more for your buck on this season's hottest tech and gaming gear. And on eBay, you can even get more bling for less cha-ching on jewelry. You can get more because you save more on premium brands with eBay's exclusive deals. Get more when you get it on eBay.
Some coffee's fast, but not fresh. Some coffee's fresh, but only after a long wait. Speedway coffee is made fresh at the push of a button, hot or iced, so you can have fresh coffee your way, right away. Find a store near you at speedway.com/locations.
Being mostly involved with this is I'm still wondering now where the focus goes towards now, just because I mean, like, Andrade versus Cody's great, but like, I just want to know exactly like what we're pushing towards is more so what I'm wondering.
Well, I'm going to give predictions later on today, but yeah, I feel like there is a clear path to where this is leading, and I've broken it down to a few people. Maybe I'm wrong. It's going to come off as my wild speculation of the week, but it should be fun. FTR beating up Cody was literally my worst nightmare. Like,
yeah, man, I don't know what you could
think. Tiffany's booing, and I'm just like frozen silence.
Yeah, you can't say anything.
You found a way to shut Floyd up. I talk a lot, and you found a way to shut me up because I was like, I'm literally sitting there in my Cody shirt and jacket with my FTR shoes on. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a situation where I don't know how Floyd can act. It's like literally his two loves. He
literally named him. Was it based on the nicest thing? No, but he still gave them their name. You know, FTR stands for Fuck the Revival. That's what it
I bet he
for.
feels bad about that, though.
Yeah, he's like, probably shouldn't have started that. That's what he said. That tweet out. Yeah, like, probably shouldn't have started that. But I'm saying he gave them their name.
But it makes sense why they would go after him, though.
Yeah, it makes sense why they would go after him. It all comes together, but it hurts my heart.
It does. I mean, dude, he started it, though, so it is what it is.
That's why I looked at Tiffany, and she was looking at, of course you're going for Cody. I'm like, but didn't he start this?
He really did. But we will quickly wrap up Dynamite, though. Tony Schiavone had a quick interview with John Silver about his upcoming match against Adam Cole, or as we know, Budge. So John Silver was like, I asked him to go by Budge, take my advice. He didn't do it, so I'm going to kick Budge's ass. So it is what it is. Johnny Hungy does what he does, and we'll get into that match from Rampage very shortly. But then we had the match that was supposed to be Miro supposed to be Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley. And Miro, the Redeemer, was the one who filled in for Jon Moxley in this match. So instead of Orange Cassidy dying to Jon Moxley, it was Orange Cassidy dying to Miro. So this match was pretty much similar to what we would have gotten with Jon Moxley, in which Orange Cassidy, like, he did well. He had bandages on his ribs, like as a work injury, but Orange Cassidy was not going to beat an angry Miro trying to become God's favorite champion for a second time. So Miro makes him tap out. Bryan Danielson then comes down to the ring, stares off with him. That is your match at Full Gear. Miro versus Bryan Danielson. Daniel Bryan versus Rusev. What a match, I think, we'll get to crown the new number one contender for the AEW World title at Full Gear. So, hell of a way to close off the show, though.
Yes, this match was great. I had a great time. It was everything that I wanted. everything that I wanted it to be. It was just fun.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time at that. We'll move really quickly into Rampage because we still got a lot to talk about when it comes to our preview. We opened up the show with the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, in action, facing off against Anthony Bowens of the Acclaim, not Max Caster, although Max did a vicious rap against Bryan Danielson, talking about how you're only famous for your wife's reality show, and also taking a shot at Mr. John Laurinaitis with his father-in-law. End your career quicker than your father-in-law's. Coming off of the heels of the massive wave of releases, which I think we'll touch on very shortly. That had a lot more burn, especially now. But that was one of his better raps that he had done on AEW. But this match was pretty strong. I mean, Anthony Bowens, I think, showed a lot of himself working up against Bryan Danielson. Danielson had, of course, just great technical work, proceeding to just get a lot of great offense in. Max Caster got as many quick, cheap shots as he could. But eventually, the missile drop kick, and then it led up to Danielson getting the label lock after stomping on Bowens' head. Bowens tapped out. Nice win from Bryan Danielson. But yeah, I'm just itching to talk about what's next. But this was a cool opening, though, I think.
Yeah, the Acclaimed as an act, Max Caster gets to shine because of how, good on the mic he is. He is a good wrestler, but Anthony Bowens is the worker of this team,
Yes.
And this match showed you how good of a professional wrestler was there. He was step for step, never was out of his depth with Bryan Danielson. And when you can say that, that's like one of the bigger compliments you can give, because Bryan Danielson might be the greatest American wrestler ever. I mean, I've heard that said before by some people, and he doesn't put on boring matches, and this was not a boring match. So shout out to I really want to commend Anthony Bowens and his work in this match.
Yeah, shout out. But now we got to get into this. The face-off between CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. He invites out Eddie Kingston. His music plays, which Eddie doesn't come out until a few moments later, where he does come out, and he starts screaming about how you want an apology. And Eddie is just getting to the grill of Punk. It's like, look, Punk's like, I know it's a little bit condescending maybe for another man to ask another man for an apology, but you interrupted me. Don't paint me like the bad guy. And Kingston's just like, yes, I interrupted the great CM Punk. Oh, no, God. And it's just Punk. He goes through this whole spiel talking about how, he had to get tested for COVID twice and had to make sure that he didn't get his friend sick, and was just dealing with this whole situation with John as well. And he's like, I'm sorry, you didn't get the great CM Punk versus Orange Cassidy. And he's just like, I apologize, blah. And starts screaming, who are you? And Punk's like, not much of an apology. You know damn well who I am. The crowd starts chanting for CM Punk, and Punk's just like, let him go, because Eddie's still trying to talk. This period right here, there's no script. These guys are just going after each other. This, for a fact that there's no script behind this, because these two are just going off the cuff, just saying, just talking these people into the building. And then Eddie gets into the whole thing saying, I'm telling everybody the truth of who you are. You were once a hero of mine. Guys like him, Samoa Joe, Homicide, The Amazing Red, on the independents, these guys inspired me. But he calls them a lowlife, scumbag, two-faced, piece, narcissistic bitch. He said, you judged me. I came to that locker room to get free from my mental crap, free from the streets, and all you did was judge me. It was like, why? Because I was fat. I like to eat a little bit. I wasn't friends with the booker. I didn't bury people to get my own stuff in. I didn't do all these things. He said, no, I wasn't wrong for that. You were wrong for that. That's the Punk I know. Punk's response was, I'm hearing a lot of baggage, but you named a couple other people there, and the truth is, it wasn't just me who judged you. It was me, it was Homicide, it was Joe, it was Danielson, but we judged you because we held you to the potential of what we saw in you. You were the one that fell short of that mark. You can blame me, you can blame a guy like Bryan Danielson who beat you in the ring, and you can walk to the back afterwards and blame me. I'm not the bad guy for seeing greatness in you 15 years ago, but I damn sure am a fool for trying to hold you to that standard because you're a bum. And Kingston is just like smirking, trying to like hold himself down, is like, would a bum main event Full Gear? Would a bum try to have to almost sell his house in order to keep fighting to be in, which he made a shot, the only professional wrestling company today? And he's like, is that a bum? He's like, he says the line, though, that he says, like, I need everyone to hear this and I need you to open your ears. Nobody wants you here. They never wanted you here. That whole locker room's afraid to say it, but not me. And then he proceeds to try to say he'll smack the smirk off of CM Punk's face, asks him to fight him on the 13th. And then he's like, Punk's like, I mean, I was thinking maybe Elevation or Dark, something more your speed, because that's a bit of a high bar. Kingston starts laughing super loudly, calls him a coward, starts screaming, fight me multiple times. And then he's like, all right, fine. I'll see you on the 13th. And he says, look, I just want to beat you up. And after I finish beating you up, quit again and leave for 7 years and don't come back. And that's when the headbutt comes in. They start brawling. This is everything I ever wanted with these two. You gave me everything I wanted. And I spent a lot of time going through every single thing because I've watched that segment at least 7 times, like, in the last few days. It's everything I ever wanted. I'm so fucking hyped for this match. They sold you that match in less than 10 minutes. It's literally what they did. They didn't have to do anything else except go at each other on the mic, brawl. You sold the match. I want to see that match. That's it. That's it. This is the best part of the show. That's it.
Yeah, I'm just going to start naming this the Austin Summerwood section because you generally cover CM Punk so well that there's literally nothing for me to add. So I'm just going to say I agree, and there you go. I'm excited to watch them. I'm excited to watch them fight. I don't want this to be a wrestling match. If they call an arrow lockup, I'll be pissed.
No, these two just literally need to start slapping the shit out of each other because that's the type of fight that I expect from Eddie Kingston, and it's the type of fight that I want Punk to be brought into. Because if they just have a normal wrestling match, then it's like taking the story and kind of like just not really doing too much with it. Let these guys like just beat each other up. Like, of course, you're going to have a street fight in the show already, but just let them smack each other. Like, let it not be clean and like crisp and stuff like that. Let it be like a little bit more gritty in the way that they fight each other. So that's all I really need. We then get an announcement of a match for Full Gear because backstage Christian Cage and Jurassic Express challenged the Super Click to a Falls Count Anywhere 6-man match. And my God, the spots. I can already just see them in my head right now, the spots that we're going to get from that match. Holy shit.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a freaking amazing match. I mean, amazing. It might steal the show. I mean, except, FTR is on the show, so it's really hard to steal the show when they're on it. But other than that, it might steal the show.
It's a lot to hold up to, but I mean, my God, it's going to be crazy. But we'll move quickly into another first-round TBS Women's Championship tournament match. The Bunny going up against Red Velvet, and ringside was Jade Cargill, who would face the winner of this match. And honestly, kind of made sense that Red Velvet got the win because now she will be getting a rematch against Jade Cargill, and she got a good spike with the final slice to get the win. She stood up. Mark Sterling ended up trying to hold her back, saying to wait for the second round, wait for your match. And the match between the Bunny and Red Velvet was all right, I think. And I think seeing Jade get the win against Red Velvet again will be huge, is at least my prediction in this regard. But Allie's done a lot with AEW and really doing a lot to just be a really dependable woman that they can have just at any moment. And I think she does great. I really like the Bunny and I really like Allie. I hope Red Velvet gets more time to really showcase herself against Jade. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, this was fun. I think this was good.
Yeah, I thought it. Let's see. I thought it was a great way to get Red Velvet a win. That's who was in the match, right? Okay. It was a great way to get her a win. I honestly kind of zoned out during this match. I saw the end, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, should I go back and watch it? And I was like, never mind. Yeah, I got what I needed out of it. Red Velvet won. So, there you go.
All right. Well, then in that case, we'll move to the main event, which is John Silver, Johnny Hungy against Adam Cole, Bebe, or as more likely known, Budge. And this was a match I think which really showcased just how good John Silver is, just as by himself. Because I mean, he's in there with fucking Adam Cole, and they're doing so well against each other. And honestly, it's a shame that Matt Jackson and the Bucks were trying to get involved with everything. It eventually still thankfully didn't lead to a disqualification, which was what I was worried about at one point. But no, these guys really let it out and gave everything they had. John Silver, every single time he's in the ring, no matter who you put him in the ring against, he shows that he belongs in AEW. Despite the fact after the Dark Order comes out and brawls with the Bucks on the outside, John Silver hits the Liger Bomb, which then Adam Cole kicks out of. Adam Cole tries for the Panama Sunrise, but it's countered. But then 2 back-to-back super kicks and the running knee, and John Silver's done. It was a really good effort. The boom knee.
Or actually, the budge knee.
The budge knee, yes.
It was John Silver. He is the definition of the term, the one thing you can't coach is effort. Because, honestly, if he was 6'2", with the same energy and everything that he had, he'd probably be the best wrestler in the world.
But yeah, but even still, it's like the fact that he is that size and he's still that good.
Yes,
is so apparent.
Yes, it's one of those people that you literally clear. The only thing he's missing is size, and it's the one thing he can't do anything about because he's packed as much muscle onto that 5'6", 5'7" frame as you possibly can. He has energy. He can cut a promo. He doesn't mind the humor part of it. He's pretty much everything you want in a wrestler, but he's 5'7".
Yeah. But again, he's still so incredible, and he's in there with Adam Cole holding his own, and he's killing it. So it's truly awesome, man. I every time he's there on TV, he kills it every single time. But that was AEW Rampage for this week. A very great show. I mean, it gave me everything I wanted with Punk and Kingston, so I can't even say it wasn't a great show. We're going to get into our previews for AEW Dynamite coming up this week, but then we got to talk about Full Gear. We're going to do our entire Full Gear predictions. So as you guys are hearing this will be the AEW Dynamite for tonight. So we're going to get Pac going one-on-one with Dax Harwood. We're going to get Team Brit, which consists of Britt Baker DMD, Dr. Britt Baker DMD, Jamie Hayter, and Rebel. And they're going to go against Tay Conti, Anna Jay, and Thunder Rosa in a 6-women's match. Bryan Danielson is going to be facing a new entrant from the Forbidden Door, Rocky Romero. And that is a huge match announcement. And then, of course, we get the match between Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty versus Lio Rush and Dante Martin.
Yeah, that's going to be killer. Your boy will be in the building for this match. Dax Harwood and Pac, shockingly, is probably going to be the match I'm looking forward to most.
No way.
Because Dak is just so good. But that Bryan Danielson versus Rocky Romero, that'll probably open the show. Just in my brain, that's how I see it. I'm thinking the Team Brit versus the 6-woman match will probably main event the show. But if I'm looking at the show, I'm putting that on first just because they're very familiar with each other. There was some old pictures of them where they were on the same tag team and wrestling against each other. So I'm really looking forward to Rocky Romero versus Danielson. And Lee Moriarty. I love, that he's getting on TV more, and I want to see where he's going forward. Because in my brain, I can see him turning on Matt Sydal here.
Yeah, in mine I could see that too. And of course, you're also going to get the contract signing between Kenny Omega and Hangman and Page as well. So you got that going for you too as well. So that the contract signing is probably not going to end well. But now we'll get into our preview for AEW Full Gear. We have Britt Baker versus Ty Conti for the AEW Women's World Championship. I love Ty. I think she's great, but Britt's championship reign is not ending anytime soon. So Tay will unfortunately fall to Britt Baker in this match.
That is absolutely 100% the truth. If you had those confidence picks and you got 100 confidence points, all my points are going into Britt Baker keeping her title.
Yes.
I mean, they would have to do something pretty remarkable to make me think Ty Conti actually has a chance of winning this match.
Yeah, and I think Ty is really great too, and I think she can work herself to being AEW Women's Champion or TBS Women's Champion at some point. But against Britt Baker, it won't be that person.
No, it won't. And I love Ty. I love Ty, and I think she'll be a great women's champion for them one day. Because she has a great story to tell. How she was fired from developmental from another company, coming to this company, lost all her confidence, got friends, got confidence, killer part of the company. She's one of those people, if she never became champion, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's heartbreaking. But I do think she at least deserves a short run just because I think the crowd would really get behind her finally doing it. I don't think they've built this in a way where she can win. I think Ty needs to go on a long, 6-month winning streak to build to beating Britt.
Yeah, just because it's Britt, yeah.
Yeah, because it's Britt. It's Britt's been unbeatable. So the person that you're building to beat her has to be, at least for that period of time, equally unbeatable.
Exactly. We then have the AEW World Tag Team Titles match between the champions, the Lucha Bros, and the challengers, the current AAA Tag Team Champions, FTR. And with this match, I stick by the Lucha Bros because they are doing great stuff as the champions. I think they still are incredible tag team champions. FTR already have belts. They can be champions of AAA. I don't see FTR taking the titles off of Lucha Bros. Not tonight.
It's going to break my heart because this would be the second Full Gear in a row that FTR lost the title match.
Yeah.
So,
but at least they have two titles that they have championships that they can use to wipe their tears.
No. So FTR's winning this match. They're gonna break the Lucha Bros. I smell. I got a strong whiff of interference from Andrade on FTR's part.
I will stick with Lucha Bros in that regard.
I got just strong, wavering, wafting smell of interference in this match.
Well, all right. We then have Bryan Danielson versus Miro to determine the number one contender for the AEW World title. Bryan Danielson's on a tear. He will not lose. Miro is great, but he would have been replaced with Jon Moxley if things were to go as scheduled. But no, it's going to be Bryan Danielson because Bryan Danielson is on a tear, and he is just working his way up the ranks. So, sorry, Miro, it's Bryan Danielson, though.
I really wanted to be Miro, though, just because this whole, you always have that thing where if you build somebody up too long without a loss, no matter how they lose that first time, it's not going to be satisfying. If Bryan Danielson just loses, you know what I mean?
Just get it out of the way.
You get to get out the way. It'd be great. Miro, let's just say how the end of the show ends like we're going to think it's going to end. Miro versus Hangman. That's a very good first opponent.
It is.
That is a very good first opponent to establish Hangman's title reign. So I can see it going that way. I could see Kenny Omega maybe having something to do with it. They don't do a lot of interference in AEW, so I doubt it. I doubt it's going to happen in that many matches, but, Kenny Omega trying to protect his belt. Make sure Miro wins.
Yeah, but I will stick with Bryan Danielson. We'll move to the Minneapolis street fight between the Super Click and Jurassic Express and Christian. I see the Super Click coming out on top on this because I love Jurassic Express. I love Christian, but I see the Super Click being the team to shut down Christian and Jurassic Express just because the Super Click are dastardly. And in a street fight where it is a false count anywhere, you are not going to beat these people. You are just not going to beat these people.
We've been hearing rumors of a 6-man tag belt forever. If it's a trios title, if it's something that they plan to do, the Super Click can't lose here.
Yes.
Because I think they should be very undefeated for a long time. Because what you want to do with the trios title, you don't want it to become like titles everywhere else where the trios title just gets passed around. It's just a throwaway belt. You want it to mean something. You want it to be a belt you can main event with. The Super Click being the first trios champion makes it a belt you can main event with.
100%. Eddie Kingston versus CM Punk.
I had seen Kingston versus Punk, and I was like, why did I put Kofi Kingston on here? Literally, that was the
Jesus
thought that
Christ
went through my head. I don't know why. It's just because it just said Kingston and instead of putting Eddie in front of there. I was like, oh, Eddie, there's another one. Okay, cool. Let's go.
All right. Well, I love Eddie Kingston so much. He's been such a great piece in AEW. And if you haven't read his little interview story that he's done, that he's been posting on his Twitter, read that. See exactly how much this man has gone through to get to this point. See how much he gives a shit about this. You will not be disappointed with him. Moxley, of course, has already come out with a book. I need an Eddie Kingston book. As time goes on, Eddie needs to make his own book because having a book written by that man would just be a glorious read.
Fuck would be in that book a lot.
A lot. And Patna.
Yeah.
And Patna. But I say all of that to say I love Eddie, but Punk is not losing yet. Punk needs a legitimate feud to take that first loss. And while I would love a legitimate feud between Eddie Kingston and Punk, I don't think they're going to go with that.
All right. So I completely agree with you, but I'm going to have to go a different way just because I want to have something to say here. I saw something in that ring Friday that made me think this should be more than one match.
Oh, 100%.
So that being said, I go to, and this is again, understand what I've watched most of my life. But I think they should fight, they should get out of control, and the ref should throw the match out.
So either that or just go to a time limit draw.
And then you build, I think you build to Punk versus Kingston the night before Thanksgiving in fucking Chicago. Street fight. Boom.
I think that's fair. And honestly, I would not be mad at it because, again, I said, like, this could be a feud that you continue on. This could be a feud that you keep going on because these two guys are so good at going at each other and just like spewing words at each other. And like I said, I could have enjoyed them just yelling at each other on the mic for another 20 minutes because they did such a good job.
Eddie
I will say Punk's
Eddie yelling, you didn't beat me, and Punk yelling, you didn't beat me either back. I just think that would be so great.
Yeah, and you just let them go and let them go. And again, I will stick with the fact that I think that they'll just go with the simple Punk getting the win.
I mean,
but if they continue on with this feud, I will not even be mad because this would be awesome.
Yours is 100%, as I stated. I agree with yours 100%. I was just adding how they could make it a little bit more interesting, but I truly think he's taking to go to sleep and the match is over. But yeah. Just wanted to throw a different line of thinking in there.
All right. We then get the 5-on-5 match between the Inner Circle and American Top Team. I am saying this with 100% just heat in mind. I want Dan Lambert to get the pin victory.
Yep, Dan Lambert's going to pin Chris Jericho.
I want Dan Lambert to pin Chris Jericho and get the win. Yeah. That's all I want.
And, it's if you look at Fozzie's tour dates, if you go to FozzieRock.com and you look at their tour dates, Jericho's going to be gone for a while of coming up soon. Just like gone. And that's a great way to write him off. November 29th, Liverpool. November 30th, Manchester. Basically, he is in the UK from November 29th to December 12th.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is let Dan Lambert get the win. Let the crowd explode in heat.
Yes. Now, and I think Paige VanZant should be the one that throws the knockout blow.
You know what? Go for it.
Yeah. You got to give... To me, it gives her comeuppance in the, being called a whore thing by Jericho.
Yes.
So it would give her her comeuppance. She gets a knockout punch on Chris Jericho. But more than likely, it will be Jorge Masvidal comes in and needs Jericho again. Because I truly think they're building to a Jorge Masvidal versus Chris Jericho. They have to go after the December show. So I think that's the ultimate goal is to get to Chris Jericho versus Jorge Masvidal.
And then we finish things off with Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. This is Hangman's moment. And I know the idea of keeping this going on is tantalizing just because they wanted to make it feel like unbelievably like, oh my God, it finally happened. But I think just considering how long it's been since Hangman got that first shot at the AEW World title back in 2019, I think it just makes sense. So Hangman will get the win because I think if he doesn't get the win, I think the crowd will be legitimately fucking pissed.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying at this point in time. You kind of got to give the people what they want, but it's just, I don't know. It's like Kenny Omega, to me, has just, his championship reign has been the best so far to me. And I think he's been great. And I just think, but I thought it with Jericho. When they gave the belt to Moxley, I literally thought Jericho had a good 6 more months left on his title reign. And it's probably better to get out before people are like, I'm tired of this guy being champion. Even though the favorite thing, as soon as the title changed hands, they were like, well, who's going to beat Hangman? Everybody jumps on to that thing as soon as the match is over. They don't even enjoy Hangman being the champion. They move on to who they think is going to. I mean, come on, Twitter. That's where it happens.
It is Twitter, yeah.
That's where it happens. You will have the one night, congratulations to everybody posting their pictures where they took a selfie with Hangman that one time. I always knew you were going to be champion. Next day, 11 a.m., who you think is going to win next? But honestly, some podcast or website is going to jump it first and like 2 minutes after. So who do you think is going to beat Hangman for the title? And then,
one site's going to do it for
and they're going to list their 5 people. And I'm just going to want to reply, I don't know. I'm going to enjoy Hangman being the champion. Yeah, it's just so weird how wrestling is. I love it. I love it. You think I talk shit about it, but I love it. I love the hustle and the bustle and the complete craziness of being a wrestling fan. Or I wouldn't be a wrestling fan. You know what I mean? If I hated it, I just wouldn't be a wrestling fan. But I love it. And I'm going to love being there. And with Adam, I'm hoping Mr. Hangman rides out in a horse. That would
once again.
Yeah, he has. I feel like when he wins the title, he has to be on a fucking horse. You know what I mean?
He could ride John Silver's back.
Yes. He could. He could ride John Silver's back, but -1. All of them, the Dark Order in the ring, celebrating with him as they win the title, as he wins the title. Great moment. Him on the shoulders. Beers being passed around to everybody. It's going to be pandemonium. We're going to be partying in 23-degree weather in Minnesota in the streets after. We're going to get frostbite. Our limbs are going to fall off. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, and I'm very excited that you'll be a part of it. But that is our Full Gear predictions. I believe Floyd has a list of some announced brand new dates for AEW touring. So, Floyd, do you want to run down that?
So, first of all, the New Orleans one originally set for January 12th has been moved to April. I had the exact date, but then I lost it. So, just know it's got moved to April. So if you had a ticket to that show, go ahead and it'll transfer. Then they announced Greensboro, North Carolina, for the December 22nd, so right before Christmas. They head to Crockett Country, and it's not very far from where the greatest tag team of all time lives, so that's awesome. And then January 5th goes up to our girl Jackie's neck of the woods, Newark, New Jersey, Prudential Center. That's going to be a big one. And then January 12th, Raleigh, North Carolina, PNC Arena. I believe Greensboro goes on sale this week, and Newark and Raleigh goes on sale next week. So,
all right.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward. We're looking forward to that going down. I'm wondering, like, when they're going to finally hit California, but I'm guessing it's going to be closer to Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I feel like it'll get a little bit closer. I'm still waiting on the Detroit dates, so if those can come through, Brandy, if you can make a freaking play to get that to happen sooner rather than later, I would be forever in your good graces.
They came all the way up to Minnesota for you. It's just, one state over, right?
There's a lot more of a drive to Minnesota than there is to, say, Chicago or, say, Ohio.
Really? How far is it? I'm just wondering.
If we were going to say from Michigan to so we'll go from Flint to Minnesota. So it says because that's closest to where like my whole family's from. It would be a 10-hour drive.
Oh, okay.
Because I still have to drive through Wisconsin.
So you know what's really weird? We are the same distance away from Minneapolis.
Yeah,
I'm 11-hour drive away from Minneapolis, and I'm driving up, which is weird because it just seems like there's so many more states between us and where you're at. But I'm guessing
But it's a much straighter path for you.
It's just 30
straight through Chicago and then also drive through Wisconsin in order to get there.
Yeah, no, I'm literally 35 north. I'm literally 35 north. I go through Kansas City. I pick up Tiffany, 8 hour, which is 5.5 hours away, 6 hours away from Minnesota. We're stopping at White Castle first. Boom.
Perfect. There you go. Boom.
White Castle's in this belly Thursday. I don't care how cold it is. Gotta get me a 20-pack of White Castles. And then I'm going to be on someone's bowling team, which it's officially sold out.
I'm so jealous of that, dude. I actually have my own bowling ball gifted to me from my friends Sadie and Sam. They gave me my own bowling ball, and they were part of a high school bowling team too, so I learned how to bowl just by bowling with them a little bit more. So I would have fucking killed to be a part of that.
Yo, dude, it's awesome. Because there's actually a Kansas City Chiefs from when they won the Super Bowl bowling ball that's available on Fanatics. And, man, people have been trying to talk me out of getting it. So I'm going to have to, because I think I want to start bowling just to, get a little bit more active in life. But I keep putting on my tweets, if you want to win, don't pick me. Because, first of all, I have bowled before in my life. Don't get me wrong, and I am not good. So like, I can usually break 100, that's like, because I don't play a lot. I really don't. I don't know how to put like spin on the ball. I'm just gonna throw the ball as hard as I can, as straight as I can. That's pretty much what I do. But I'm looking forward to it with the teams. Me, JR, and Tiffany all got tickets. Shout out to my boy Will, because he called me and let me know the tickets were on sale. They were literally only 10 tickets of the team tickets, and like our crew got 3 of them.
Damn.
Think about that. It's just like, and it's all because of Will. I have to shout out him. Y'all wouldn't have even known. So I was able to get in, buy it, because you only can buy one ticket at a time. I was able to buy a ticket, get the email, go back in, and then buy Tiffany's ticket. So, and then JR got his ticket. So we got 3 of the 10 tickets with all the purpose of it. Because I don't honestly care what team I was on. If I'm on Fuego's team, that would be awesome. But it's all about getting our buddy Tiffany on the Nightmare Family team, getting her some Cody time.
All right. Well, if I have a little bit of a tip for you guys, because I don't know how familiar everyone else is with bowling, an easy way to kind of just like perfect your roll, what you're going to want to do is try to reach reach out, aim for the reflection of the pins. And like when you reach out to release your roll, it's like you're lowering your hand to shake hands with the pins. Like try to reach out and shake hands with the pins when you roll. That'll be the best way for you to try to keep it as straight as possible and get the best possible chance for you to get a strike. Because if y'all can get at least one strike in your game, I think that could count as a win.
Yes, that would be awesome. And like I said, I don't mind losing because I used to be a very competitive person. I've had to turn the competitive switch off so people would enjoy playing things with me.
I think I'll turn back on.
So at the bowling, I'm just looking forward to having fun and knocking off the thing off my bucket list. Because I had a short conversation with Suge D, but I get 10 frames with wrestlers. So I will be able to do my goal in life, which is to have a conversation with a wrestler, not about wrestling.
There you go.
Like, what's your favorite TV show? What snack do you eat when you wake up in the middle of the night? That's the kind of shit I want to know. Like, what's your favorite match? I'm like, dude, whatever.
I will be interested to see how the entire thing goes, so I will be questioning you a lot when you come back.
Because me and Tiffany are actually going to kind of be doing a dual blog. We're going to be taking videos, and we're going to put the videos together, try to make a YouTube video out of it. It's going to be on Heart of the Elite, with, kind of a joint thing between Heart of the Elite and All Things Elite. So that's going to be great. Because we're going to have, like, videos of everything that's happening and having a good time. And like I said, I'll come back with a little report about what I was able to find out. Maybe I'm going to find out if Red Velvet actually likes red velvet cake. Wouldn't it be weird if she didn't?
I mean, dude, I met Jeanette McCurdy, and my parents literally asked her if she loved ham like she said in the TV show, and she said no.
Yeah, no, she does not. Her and Sam's diet are very, very different. It broke my heart when I found that out. And that was the point where I realized I'm in love with Sam. I'm not in love with Jeanette McCurdy.
See, I'm still in love with Jeanette because she seems nice.
I mean, she's probably nice, but she's not going to tackle and beat up a grown man.
That is not going to happen.
You know, and just not her love of food. The character was like my soulmate. And then, real person.
And then the actual person is just a normal, chill girl.
A normal human. They're like,
Yeah. Regardless, that I think will do it for this episode of All Things Elite. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this episode. Continue to download the show on Google or Apple Podcasts. And if you listen to us on Spotify or any other podcasting platform, a share with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you wish would be greatly appreciative. You can leave a rating or review. You can leave a donation through Red Circle. We are at AT Elite Pod on Twitter, at Social Suplex, at the guys that make this show possible. Please check out all their other shows they have on their network. I myself am at Austin Szumowicz, SZUMOWICZ. Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. He will be traveling to Minnesota to be there for Full Gear week and be there for Full Gear on the 13th. I'm so incredibly excited for him to be there and jealous at the same time. So I will let our boy, who will be out towards Minneapolis, enjoy yourself. Mall of America as well if you stop by.
Absolutely.
Grab me a Justin Jefferson jersey while you're there, and I will let Floyd take us home for this episode of All Things Elite.
So, you get those Facebook inspirational memes, and, a lot of times you click like and you scroll past them, but sometimes one hits me, and it's like, one's like, oh, that's actually somewhat inspirational. And this is one I got today, and it says, take more pictures, always say I love you, never go to bed mad, love harder, life is too short. And honestly, if you were to sum up my mottos in life, honestly, that was mostly it. I even told my wife when we got together, I'm like, we're not going to bed mad. That's like, if you're mad at me, let's talk it out until you're okay. Now, I'm not asking you to be happy when you go to bed, but I just don't want you to be actively angry. Let's talk it out. Take more pictures. Oh my God. If I could go back in my wrestling travels and do one more thing, and that would be take more pictures. I've met some amazing people. I've done some amazing things. And I'm not even talking about wrestlers. I'm just talking about friends that I remember hanging out with, but we never got a picture together. And so I will say that. And then love harder, life's too short, dude. We just live in a world where everybody wants to be angry about something. Man, just love harder. And like when you're mad at someone else, take that time and love someone else that you like harder and let them know, because you want to be the light in the world. Eddie Kingston said in his post today, he was talking about a man that sent him a letter that said, I felt like I've lost my best friend. It was like his last ditch effort to reach out to Eddie. And it was just like, and that was the thing that brought him back. So you never know what the thing that's going to be to bring that back. But I know if you send someone that you are close with or that you have conversations with, like, I love you, I'm just thinking about you, and I hope you're doing well, man, that can brighten someone's day. So do that. Do whatever you can to spread joy. And with that, I say, whether it is home, work, or school, always do your best to be elite.